Hey guys, welcome to the Paint with Lovejoy website. This is the place for first-time and beginners to get comfortable with the painting process. If you have never painted, I am definitely the teacher for you. I will give you permission to play, to create with your hands, and I do consider this adult kindergarten, where you get to make memories with yourself or with loved ones. And you will notice that creative time is something that you will reference for the rest of your life. I do encourage you to send me photos of your paintings. And when you're done with my YouTube videos, please check out my Paint Your Pet course for even more in-depth and kind of my signature class. It's a lot of fun. Before we get started, I want to say thank you for being you. And I also want to give you permission to play today. I'm going to encourage that you take a lot of progress photos, and I do recommend that you turn off your distractions. Put your phone on mute. Please know that mistakes will happen. We call them happy accidents. And I'm going to encourage you to breathe throughout the painting process. Here are your recommended supplies and the colors for this particular video. This video also has a traceable, a line drawing at the beginning, and you can either purchase the traceable and transfer, or you can pause the video and draw it freehand, whichever you feel comfortable doing. Again, progress photos are important. And I'm going to encourage that you pause and play the video as much as you need and rewatch anything that you want. Now let's go ahead and get started painting. All right, guys, so transfer your traceable and we're going to move into the background. And I do recommend taking your first progress photo. Now we are doing a mixture of white and purple, but you have full permission to switch out to a different color, your favorite color, or even multiple colors. So make the background what you'd like it to be. Now, if you are one of my beginner painters, I am going to recommend that you apply your paint a little bit thicker, just to kind of compensate for the texture of the canvas, and it will help some of your blending. All right, so again, we're using this kind of medium light purple. If you have to mix your color a second or third time, don't stress about color variation. Having a little diversity and variety in your background just adds more intrigue and coolness to your painting. So even as you can see where I'm mixing the stuff on the plate, sometimes I grab a little white, a little purple, and kind of scrape it together or mix it together. Kind of play with that. And if maybe one time it's darker purple or lighter purple, embrace that. Because each time that you mix your colors, your brain's taking in that information and it does get easier and more comfortable the more that you paint. Now, another thing that I've noticed is to make sure you take a deep breath. Take a big sigh right now, let out any stress or frustration. It's amazing how many times we unwillingly hold our breath without realizing it when we're doing something new or we're a little nervous about it. So laugh at yourself a little bit, breathe. This is just for fun. This is a nice escape from your life, your reality, maybe some of your other stresses. This is your place to just kind of play and relax. With that being said, I also give you permission to paint sloppy. If you happen to overlap the traceable lines, totally okay. If you end up doing something totally different, totally okay. The fact that you showed up in your painting, you're already successful, no matter what your painting's going to look like or what it turns out to be. The fact that you're going through the process is very healthy and a good creative outlet for you. All right, so this background's taking shape nicely. If you happen to be painting on a stretched canvas, please feel free to carry this color around the edges. I am on a flat canvas panel, so I don't have that on mine. So just a few things to kind of adjust based on what you might be working with. When you're done with the background, another good spot to take a progress photo. And at any point, you are more than welcome to take more progress photos, more than welcome to pause the video and just even go at your pace. So here you can see where I grabbed some of that direct white, literally slapped it in 3 spots on the background, and then with light pressure, kind of move my brush back and forth, and I'm blending that lighter color or that new color into the background. This is called wet on wet blending. We do the same thing with purple. I like to kind of put the purple, the darker color, on the opposite side of where I put the lighter colors, and then just kind of blend away. So play with your background, get it to where you want, take your time, pause the video if you need to do more, and play with your brush pressure while you're doing your blending. Light pressure can create a smoother finish. More pressure creates what I call creative brush strokes, and your brush strokes show up more. Or actually, I kind of call that more of a painterly style. So play with the pressure of your brush, play with your mark making, um, try a bunch of different things as you're in your beginning stages of painting. The more things that you try, the easier and the quicker it is for you to discover the things that you enjoy and the things that you're good at. And it also shows you the places where maybe you need to put a little more practice in, and nothing's wrong with that. So again, get your background to where you like it. You're going to take your progress photo when you're done, and then we'll move into painting the flower. But great job. I'm really proud of you guys. All right, that final progress photo for your background. And then we're going to move into shades of yellow. We're going to really focus on blending and brush control today. So I am using that medium flat brush, doing a yellow and white mixture, kind of going for a light lemony yellow. And we're going to be focusing on a light space, medium space, and dark space. And this is how we kind of create the 3D illusion on a flat 2D surface. So right now we are going to go petal by petal. I'm using that light yellow and putting the highlights on first. And all I want you to do is pause the video, observe where I place it and kind of the general blob shape, and observe the shape and then mimic that to the best of your ability on your canvas. Again, this is something that gets easier and more comfortable the more that you paint. So you can paint this painting multiple times and you will learn something each time you paint it. So again, here on that petal, we've got a light yellow and a regular direct yellow, a little bit darker. Um, what you can do is wipe off the excess paint on your brush, and with a damp brush, go back and almost just do little dots, little blobs, kind of soften that line between the lighter yellow and the darker yellow. And then here I'm grabbing the pointy brush, adding a little bit of orange to my yellow and white mixture, and we're going to go one more deeper shade just to give us that shadow value. And by using the smaller pointy brush, I'm applying it in smaller spaces. And here you can see on mine, it's kind of hard to see. So if you need to, go back and add more orange, so that way you're going a couple shades darker. And that's kind of something that happens in painting. You may apply a color to your canvas and you go, you know what, that's not dark enough. That's not light enough. And you have to adjust your color. Nothing's wrong with that. Once you've applied the color, again, I realize it's kind of hard to see, clean that brush, and with a damp brush, just go back and where the two shades or various shades meet, with light pressure, soften that transition. All right, it's looking good. We're going to recreate this formula on all petals. So take your progress photo, and I apologize for not doing the lock on the autofocus. Um, Apologize about that. I made sure in my future videos or my videos after this that I got that lock on there. So we're going back to the yellow and white, back to our highlights light color, and we're going to work on two petals at the same time because these are small petals. Again, all I want you to do, pause the video, observe where I place each color and the general shape that it makes, and then mimic that to the best of your ability. Now I'm going in with that yellow. So we've got the light yellow and the yellow, and then going in and adding a touch of that orange to that light yellow orange for the darker color. As you do this painting, notice that as I do the painting and I kind of mix my colors, I do what I call perimeter mixing. So where we're added that little bit of yellow into another, or that little bit of orange into another color. This is subtle blending. This is subtle color shift. So If yours doesn't entirely look like what mine does on the screen, that's okay. If you want to switch out to do a different color, all you have to do is use a different color instead of yellow, and then maybe a relative color instead of orange. So if you wanted to do red, you could use white and red, and then black and red. If you have any questions, please send me an email. So here you can see where I added more of the yellow. Now we're adding a little touch of orange for the highlight. Again, pause the video. If you need to, take a screenshot so that way you can zoom in a little bit closer to see some of the tiny details. Now, where we're putting the darker shadow, the part with a little bit of orange added to it, that's what we consider the shadow element. So it is usually on the opposite side of where you place the lighter value, where you place your highlight. All right, doing good. And if yours doesn't happen to even follow the process of mine and maybe each petal's a slightly different shade, that's okay too. So again, I took that medium, the yellow orange, and I just covered the whole center because I outlined my traceable with black with a Sharpie marker for those of you at home that are going to draw what you see. I just painted right on top of that. So you can paint right on top of your traceable, and then we'll go back in and put some detail. So that yellow and white, just kind of put it on that last little curve of that petal. And all the flower petals are done after this point. Again, pause the video as much as you need, take that progress photo. Now I'm moving into white and green for the petals, or for the leaf portion. I think that's what you call the part that the flower comes out of when you unwrap the leaves. Again, we're doing our highlight value, our light value, and then we'll do a medium and then a dark value. And on this particular painting, I will do this green area twice just because I am using student grade paint and my paint is a bit on the transparent side. So by doing 2 layers, we get a little more opaque coverage. So I'll be covering that a little bit later in this video. Again, I just want you to pause the video, notice where I'm placing each of these colors and the shape that I make with. And then we're going to move in and grab some of that direct green. This is actually where you can see the transparency of my pigment, of my paint. And again, still using that pointy brush, we're going to put that darker green, the direct green, in the remaining white canvas space on this part of the foliage. If you're finding that your brush is kind of shaky, because we are working into small areas, exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas. Again, remember to breathe. Right, and like I said earlier, if you happen to place a color somewhere I do not, just embrace it. Totally okay. We're not going for perfection here. We're not going for photorealism. The purpose of today's painting is to get you more comfortable with your brush, more comfortable with your mixing, and more comfortable with blending the colors. All right, so this is what we call the underpainting. Um, we'll let this dry and do a second round so that we have more opaque coverage. Here, we're going to add the shadow element just in a few areas. So I mixed the green with a little bit of orange. And what this does is give it kind of a muddy, darker color, but still kind of in the hues that we're already using. So again, the green with a little bit of orange, and just notice where I place it. Again, you'll be noticing the transparency of my paint, and we will do a second layer. But already we've got nice depth. It's taking shape really well. I'm going to go in and intensify a few of the shadows. So I grab that, just that direct orange, placing a few little lines here on top of those traceables, on top of those traceable lines, pardon me, and also in a few places on the petals. My paint is still wet on the rose, and then I'm going to wipe the brush off, and then with light pressure, just go back and soften that line. And it is pretty cool. Take your before and after picture, that as soon as we add this darker shade, it's amazing how much more intense and depth we get. When you're done with that, please take a break for about 15-20 minutes. Let your background fully dry while I talk about my Paint Your Pet class. I'm not going to talk about it for 15 minutes, but got a nice little ad here. This is my favorite class to teach, and I have been teaching this for 15 years. It is perfect for first-time and beginner painters. I won't make you paint as fast as that little video, but my favorite part is coming up next. And this is the pets with their portrait. Look how awesome all my students did with getting likeness of their pets, and look at how proud those pets are of their parents. So definitely check out the Meet Your Pet course. It's awesome when you paint something that you love, and I have a pop art and realistic option for you. And again, if you've never painted, I'm your perfect teacher. I do teach this as in-person classes at 2 locations, and then I also offer this online. All my steps are easy and very logical to follow in person and at home. And if you run out of pets, you are more than welcome to paint your favorite animal, and you will impress your pet and yourself. So check out the Paint Your Pet course, check out the discount code, and then let's get back to painting. So look at your painting from across the room, look at how much better it looks from that distance, and then even just notice how you're feeling right now. All right, so we're going to do round 2 on the foliage. So going back to the green and white mixture, it does not have to match perfectly with your with the first time that you made it, but notice as we place it on top of here, how much richer, how much better the coverage looks with layer 2. And for those of you that are my first time and beginner painters, a lot of times you're buying the cheaper paint because that's affordable. But sometimes when you buy the cheaper paint, you're going to have to do 2 and 3 layers. And nothing's wrong with that. So adjust your process based on the tools that you have at home. So again, we're just recreating this. We got the yellow and the white and green, and then moving into the direct green for that shadow or that mid-tone, and then we'll do the green and orange for the shadow element. The yellow rose is just fine in my opinion, but if you would like to do a second round on yours, just go back and follow the steps again to give yourself that second layer. All right, doing good. Remember to breathe, laugh at yourself a little bit. You're a good adult kindergartner today. And again, hopefully you have forgotten about your world for a couple of hours or just at least while you're painting your painting. All right, so now we're moving into the green and orange, that kind of dirty, muddled shadow color, placing it on top of where we placed it before. But again, if you're inclined to go, you know what, I want a little shadow element here, trust your instincts and go ahead and add more. When you're done with that, it's a good spot to take another progress photo. And this upcoming step is completely optional. You do not have to do this if you do not want to. Because I teach first time beginners, I like to add this step because it does help clean up the edges and make your painting a little bit more presentable, especially for my early beginner painters that are still refining their skill. So again, this step is optional. We're using the pointy brush and black paint and basically redoing all those traceable lines, going right over it. Now, as you're working with the pointy brush, a lot of times I am holding that brush perpendicular to the canvas at that 90-degree angle, and I'm using just the last 2 millimeters of the brush, kind of treating it like a pencil and just going over all those lines. Again, using light pressure will give you a skinnier line, a little bit more pressure gives you a wider line. Whatever width or varying widths of lines that you have in today's painting, just embrace it. So a few tips to kind of help you as you're doing this. My forearm is resting against the edge of the table. It's hard to see that in the video, but give that a try at home. That will help steady out your hand. Sometimes in some of my videos, you'll see me put my pinky out and use that as a pivot point for my hand. So feel free to give that a try. Because I am shooting the video, I do keep the painting in the exact same position. But if you need to at home, rotate the canvas, turn it upside down, whatever's easier for you as you're making these lines. And as the tip that just popped up, If you are finding that your brush is shaking, exhale as you touch the brush to the camera. That will help steady out your hand. And please take your time. This is not a rush. This is not a race. I don't care how quickly it takes you to do the lines if you do the lines at all. So go at your pace. If you're starting to notice that um, your lines are getting messier, you're getting irritated, it's getting a little bit sloppier than you'd like it to, take a break. Walk away from the painting for a little bit. Go get something to eat. Go look outside, go take a walk, and then come back to your painting. Just because I do the video in one sitting doesn't mean you have to do your painting in one sitting. Take your time, break this up, do it over a couple of sessions. Nothing's wrong with that at all. The only thing that I do ask is if you break it up into a couple of sessions, please make sure you go back and actually finish your painting. I have too many people that tell me that they started a painting, took a break, and then never came back to it. So make sure you go back to your painting and at least finish it. Because there's something satisfying and mentally that you need to do that, yes, I completed a painting start to finish. Now, if you don't do another painting after that, that's on you. But please don't quit a painting halfway through. All right, this is taking shape nicely. We're going to do a few white highlights. And kind of cool, do take your progress photo before we do the white highlights because it's pretty awesome how much just one color can make it pop and change. So I'm refreshing the white on my plate. Um, and again, trust your instincts as you're doing this. I'm using the pointy brush and white paint, and this is just kind of an indication. These are going to be sloppy little brush strokes, an indication of where the light hits this rose first. So again, pause the video, take that screenshot if you need to, and zoom in closer to see where I'm placing this white. Nice. And then definitely check out your painting from across the room and admire your awesome creative artwork. With that being said, and as I mentioned earlier, please don't wait too long to do your next painting. Try to find a regular creative outlet for yourself. I recommend monthly, if not weekly, painting sessions. So just try to fit in there what you can. Notice how you feel after today's painting. And the more that you can paint to create that feeling for yourself, just the more balanced and more fun you'll have with life and your own creative process. So great job. Thank you so much for painting. Please send me pictures of what you paint. Tag me on social media or send me an email. And when you're done with all of these, definitely check out my Paint Your Pet course. So thanks again. And until next time, cheers.